fam. It is now, fam, official, fam. Ron DeSanctimonious, fam. By the way, China. He has officially applied for next year's presidential election. Ron DeSantis couldn't hold my jockstrap. He couldn't do anything. He's nothing. He's fake news. He's a distraction. He's getting supported by all those Bushenites, fam, all those Cheneys, those Roves. He is definitely the establishment pick, fam. They're going to be coming out with, like, I think $200 million out of the gate, with $100 million for a ground game. He's going to announce tonight, fam. Guess who he's going to announce with tonight, fam?
Who, fam?
Your boy, Elon Musk.
Oh,
Breaking.
But I thought Elon Musk was like going to save us all.
Freedom of speech, fam. That's going to be the funny thing, too. And I'm glad his face is over there, like, looking, because really a lot of things have not changed on Twitter. You still get censored for telling the truth. I don't give a shit what you say. And he's playing, it's not like he came back and said, okay, we're going to enact the rules. We're going to stand by the First Amendment. No, he just played, judge and jury. He played God. And Ron DeSantis, who was a congressman before he was a governor, was all about censorship, especially when it came to Israel. You couldn't talk bad about Israel. So he's a censoring son of a bitch himself. But here's a quick 25-second clip, fam, of DARPA boy Elon Musk. It's going to be quite an announcement, fam. Never seen before in the history of announcements.
In your time, I think you're probably correct.
Okay.
Yes, I will be interviewing Ron DeSantis, and he has quite an announcement to make. And we'll be the first time that something like this is happening on social media, and with real-time questions and answers, not scripted. In your time, I think.
Okay.
Not scripted, fam. This is president.
So they're doing this whole thing with Twitter, which I don't think, it's whatever. It's not a bad idea. People have been sort of doing it via the Twitter live stuff, where they're going to put shows like Tucker Carlson, right? Tucker Carlson's going to have his thing. And so Elon Musk is going to interview Ron DeSantis on Twitter. So it's a thing they're trying to do. I get it. Now, fam, let me ask you this. Ron DeSantis versus Trump, who is the lesser of evils? And I hate playing the lesser of evils, but there is one in this case.
No, it's Donald Trump by far. I think we have a way better chance with Donald Trump as far as the policies that we kind of think are a little bit more important. Well, I think they have a significant, great importance. And don't get me wrong, Donald Trump did not do good in Latin America. I've been in Cuba twice recently, and the last week of his presidential first term, everything going on, he snuck through extra sanctions, labeled him a state sponsor of terror. He tried to whack Maduro. We don't know what his role was in Bolivia, but it did happen during his watch, so you can't ignore that. He hired people like Elliot Abrams, who was part of the whole Iran-Contra scandal. He's going to hire the right people, fam. Yeah, look at that, along with John Bolton. He's been just terrible. He didn't make any deals. He wasn't the great negotiator. You know what I'm saying? Haiti, nothing. So he's not a great president himself when it comes to Latin America. But Ron DeSantis, holy shit, fam. I've heard the guy say that we should have a day to celebrate the guy who killed Che Guevara. This guy wants to invade, and he goes, it's because we never took care of Cuba in the first place. Like, he wants to go and invade Cuba. It will not be good for foreign policy, Latin America, anywhere. He's flip-flopped his position on Ukraine. Like, he backed off and said, then all of a sudden, how could you stand for the Russians? He came out full-fledged, which shows you that the military-industrial complex will move this guy wherever they want to move him, however they want to move him, and he's connected to some of the worst establishment people. By far, Donald Trump over Ron DeSanctimonious any day of the week, fam. But I am not going to support Donald Trump either. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not supporting any of these candidates, but I do think Ron DeSantis is like a neocon on steroids, and he would do great, great damage. A lot of people, I always say this, right, outside of the United States, see Ron DeSantis and have gotten completely tricked, especially by his initial COVID stance and some of the things he has said, as if he's some sort of, anti-establishment figure. No. he makes Donald Trump look like just a wimp by comparison with his warmongering. I mean, the guy is no good, no bueno. Anybody promoting him is really under some sort of understanding that he's going to challenge the Democrats. He is the establishment. He is part of it, the establishment, more than Trump. I don't think Trump is really an outsider either, but I do think that DeSantis is definitely an establishment pick beside Biden. And yeah, this is just something that really worries me, especially for countries in Latin America and Africa as well, and in the entire, global South in general.
And for Iran, fam, check out this oldie clip over here. You're going to love this one.
Tell you this, what's going on in Iran right now is potentially historic. And if I could pick just one thing to have happen, in the world, I don't know that I could think of too many things that would be better for peace in our time than having those protesters overthrow this regime, which is effectively an illegitimate regime, which denies basic rights, which has suffocated the Persian culture for decades, and which spends most of its money on overseas adventurism and promoting terrorists. The president has come out in support. That's much different than the previous administration because the Obama administration effectively sided with the regime in 2009 because they wanted this deal. I think that we have to use whatever tools at our disposal can be effective. And you want to do it smartly, you want to do it strategically, but I don't think we can miss this opportunity to stand behind those protesters against one of the truly evil regimes in the world. And just imagine if that regime were to collapse. We don't have to worry about, North Korea is still going to be an issue, but the most likely purchaser of their nuclear, some of their nuclear arsenal is Iran. They're sitting on cash. They want it. So that threat would go. Hezbollah's money starts to dry up. Baghdad could then maybe turn and be pro-Western instead of being an Iranian client state. Yemen, will cool down. Syria may be able to be dealt with in a positive way. Israel would lose an existential threat to its existence. The dividends from that would just be absolutely phenomenal. And so I hope the administration gets more engaged in this. You don't want to do things that are going to undercut those protesters. And I've actually said with this decision on the nuclear deal now, I'm against the nuclear deal entirely, but I would make that decision, with an eye towards how that's going to affect the facts on the ground. Can the regime use a decision you make to harm what's being done there? But this is an important moment, and we all need to stand by them. So I just think that where we
Fam, you got to love the glaringly, openly talks about regime change in Iran. I don't know about you, but one of the most ridiculous things I hear people talk about is when I hear Lindsey Graham and some of the other ones talk about regime change in Russia. I mean, I can't understand, holy shit, how is this madman in office? I think that's one of the craziest things. But this is a second crazy right over here. Is this one of the openly, can you just see the benefits, fam, if we coup Iran? Not like we've tried to do that before. Right? Not like it was the CIA's first fucking coup operation. No. If we do this, fam, the dividends are going to be great. And it's like a domino effect. Now this person will fall. And it almost sounded like the Temple of Doom when he pulls his arm out, before he pulls his heart out. Soon the Hebrew God will fall. And then this will happen. And soon Galima will rule the world.
He was telling you the neocon plan, basically, that both Democrats and Republicans who are neocons, it's their wet dream, right? Get rid of Syria by controlling Iran, help Israel out by controlling Iran. And it's not just Iran. I mean, they would go after China. They'll go after anybody that is a threat to this, hegemonic world order. This is exactly what Russia and China were talking about. This global dominance, this attempt to assert themselves, that has to end. Putin said this is going to come to an end. This era is done, is basically what Putin said. And those are some tough words to say when you have people like Ron DeSantis, urging the complete opposite, right? This total U.S. dominance. When you have people like Samantha Power talking about, using funding for Ukraine to pretty much control the entirety of Europe and usher in this era. it's really scary, but that's the reality we're in, which is why I do think there is opposition to this sort of attempt to control by the West. And I don't think they have it, fam. I don't think they have the power anymore. No matter who's president in the United States, I think they face a very united anti-hegemonic backlash, because it's not even anti-US, because a lot of these countries, they actually like the US, or they want to be friendly with the US, and against, even to their own detriment. Russia is extremely diplomatic about, where that is, and so are many other countries, but they simply don't want to be like bullied anymore. And it's interesting when you hear people like Ron DeSantis, because they tend to trick some people because of his stance on COVID, because of other stances he's had where people thought maybe this guy is different because he flip-flopped on Ukraine. People thought, oh, maybe he's going to, not be Biden. He's going to be probably worse than Biden in some cases.
In some cases, I think he will. Not by many, but because they both suck and they're both part of the machine. They're both tied to the establishment. So it's just a different flavor of the establishment rhetoric, especially when it comes to geopolitics and imperialism. But Ron DeSantis flops with the wind, right? Okay, guys, he wasn't all about the COVID protocols until he got a second attorney general. When a new attorney general came in, completely turned his attitude, because he was saying right out of the gate, fam, and he was repeating what I consider to be the big lie of COVID, when he was saying, go ahead and get vaccinated. And he's always been pro-vaccine, just anti-mandate is his stance, what he says. But he says, you got to go get vaccinated, because most of the people who are in the hospital are either unvaccinated or partially vaccinated. That's a fucking lie. That was the big manipulation. To me, I've been very vocal about this from the get-go, and I know, there's a bunch of people saying this shit now, a lot of people talking about elections now. And now, even though we're still suspended on YouTube for 3 years, I don't want to lose track and stuff like that. But it's saying it for quite some time. The biggest lie when it came to COVID was the fact is that they lumped in unvaccinated and partially vaccinated. You can't do that. Those are two separate categories. So he was repeating the same bullshit lies he was told to. When he saw it was politically advantageous, then he switched, fam. And that's who this guy will do. What he'll do, this is who he'll be. He'll flip-flop with the fucking wind. And guess what? A bunch of MAGA people, they're not happy with it, dude. A bunch of old school MAGA people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who Michael Rappaport has called for the impeachment of. Oh, my God, I wish a dude would just shut the fuck up and go away. That's Michael Rappaport. But let's just listen. This is just one person I pulled out because now that we know it's official, he's making the announcement tonight. This thing is rolling. He'll be tied to some of the old school establishment Bush people who will be helping him out with his campaign. They're throwing a ton of money at this, $200 million, $100 million just for the ground game, out of the gate. There seems to be Donald Trump at the top as far as polling, which polling is, a lot of bullshit. But I would agree that most of the people are still about Donald Trump. The second choice will be DeSantis. He has separated himself from all the other knuckleheads that are running in the Republican Party, whether they be the Vivek Ramaswamis, the Nikki Haley's, Tim Scott, who just jumped into the race. And there's a couple people on deck on the sidelines waiting there. Chris Christie, is he going to get in the race? Is that other dude who just ran in Ohio, Yolkin? Is that his name? Was he Pennsylvania? The dude who just ran not too long ago. So they're wondering who else is going to get involved in this race. Meanwhile, the Democrats are just acting like nobody else has even joined in to run, and they're just going to act like, Marianne Williamson or RFK don't exist, But focusing on this for them is great for the shit liberal media, fam. Anything to say before we play your favorite congresswoman?
No, let's just play.
DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is going to announce that he's finally running for president, even though he's been running for president for months and months. And the whole thing has been pretty much a joke. Unfortunately, Ron DeSantis has been like that kid walking around the swimming pool, scared to jump in the water because he's afraid the water is too cold. Well, let me go ahead and say the water is too cold for you, Governor DeSantis, unfortunately, because the polling shows that America wants President Trump back in the White House. And here's what I really hate. I think you've been played by a bunch of your consultants that just want to make money off of you running for president, because they're the only ones that will benefit out of this. Governor DeSantis is a great governor for the state of Florida. We need more strong Republicans.
He's done a very good job, in Florida. Tell me, tonight he's got the oligarchs ball. He's got David Sachs and Elon Musk on Twitter for his announcement. David Sachs, who was the guy that pushed the Silicon Valley Bank bailout for the high tech guys, which he's won to save himself money. How's that going to sit with the populist nationalists and Elon Musk, Mr. Davos, World Economic Forum, transhumanist extraordinaire with Neuralink and also with artificial intelligence? How's that going to sit with real voters in the populist nationalist Republican Party, ma'am?
That doesn't sit well at all. That is not going to fly. I'm going to tell you right now. Who do you need to elect you to be president? You need the American people. You don't need the oligarchs. That's not how elections work. And I'll say something else, Steve. God bless President Trump for traveling all over America. I mean, I don't even know how many rallies he's done. The numbers are off the charts, and he goes every single time to the people, Steve. He goes directly to the people. He stands on a stage, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, whether it's windy, whether it's raining, no matter the weather, President Trump is out there directly talking to the American people right in front of them in person, and they come out by the thousands and tens of thousands, and he has been doing this for years. You don't announce that you're running for president of the United States in some kind of little Twitter world. It's not a real world. Twitter is not real. So I can't comprehend why that would be the place to do the announcement. It makes no sense to me. And it's not serious.
Fam, question.
Well,
question, fam.
so much on that.
Is Ron DeSanctimonious a serious candidate or not? And by the way, fam, I do have one thing to say. Guess what it is?
China.
Go ahead, fam.
I do think he's a serious candidate to take votes from Trump. But the problem is, whoever thought about this is really dumb, because as she pointed out, he's really aligning himself with the wrong people. Conservatives don't want the things he's preaching for right now. So I see most of them sticking with Donald Trump. So if you're going to run to be more establishment than Trump, which is the most popular figure because he cosplays as a full-on outsider, he seems anti-establishment. He seems the most anti-establishment, at least on the right, and oftentimes more than what is on the left for the most part, except maybe this time. And it's just kind of ridiculous, right? To think you're going to get votes. Who is his target audience? It almost seems like he doesn't really know who it is.
Gonna do, fam.
Is it liberals? Is it
No, I can tell you who it is. It's going to be culture war conservatives. That is who he's going to target. That little war with Disney was a little warm up for what he's going to do. He's not going to be able to beat Donald Trump on all these other. You can't, out Trump. So where's he going to try to beat Trump on
culture war
issues? On when it comes to culture issues, he's going.
But Trump does that too.
Yeah, but he's going to go hardcore, right? Like he's going to try to out culture war Donald Trump. And he's going to hit Donald Trump with this guy with the bump stock ban. He did that to your guns. I'm never going to do something like that. So he's going to try to out Trump in certain areas. And that's going to be in the culture war department. That's their plan, fam. You know what I'm saying? He's going to try to show that he's more socially conservative than Donald Trump to try to pick up votes. That's where he's going.
Yeah. But he's not going to be able to out-Trump Trump. That's the thing.
Do you think there's something to the point that a lot of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Loomer, or the guy we had on this show, Mario Gavin Wax, that they are just hating on DeSantis out of the gate? Wouldn't they want to welcome a primary challenge? Why would they be so disgusted about it and think that they should just automatically anoint Donald Trump? I mean, Laura Loomer did say that since Trump was cheated, he has the right to run again and he should run uncontested. But I don't swallow that. And I don't like Don. I certainly, if I had to, gun to the head, vote for either one of these guys. I'd vote for Donald Trump over DeSantis any day of the week. But the fact is that they are afraid or pushing away from a primary. Do you have anything to say to that, fam, or a thought on that?
Well, I just think they're looking at it strategically. This guy's taking votes from Trump, where it just makes us not united as a party, and they see it as having to be united to beat the Democrats, right? And so they don't want people to have this sort of disunity. It's an argument that the left has made many times as well. only Bernie should run, only X person should run. We need to be all united behind X candidate, blah, blah, blah. It's the same argument. It doesn't surprise me that the right makes it just as much as the left. I mean, they do the same things, just depending on the situation, right? So it's not surprising. I see their point. I just don't think you can talk about, American democracy and tell people to anoint somebody, right? Which is what the Democratic Party is doing. And I do think, though, that they're going to, as dirty as they get, they're more likely to have a fair Republican, contest than Democrats are, because the Democrats have already said, we're not debating, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Unfortunately for the left, right? The Republicans are far more Democratic in their primaries than the Democrats have been in the last few decades. So that is a reality. And I think you'll see more of that debate and more of that exchange of ideas from the Republican Party than you will from the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party has flat out already said they're not going to do it. And they said this years ago with the DNC fraud lawsuit. Okay. And we remind this to people because people still think that they can just vote their way out of this. The Democratic Party is a corporation. It's an entity that is owned and operated by, covert individuals. They do not respect democracy. Neither does the Republican Party, for that matter, but they at least do better at allowing a better primary. We don't get, fair elections in the United States. And I do think that a lot of people are going to go for Trump in the Republican side because they feel they need to come back with a vengeance after what happened in 2020, after the gaslighting, after everything that happened. They feel like Trump needs to make that comeback. It's that American comeback. It's that wrestling comeback. It's like the guy that was put down, beat up, is going to come back, and he's going to actually drain the swamp this time, which I am under no illusion will happen. But that is where that's coming from, right?
Yeah.